Hi there. Welcome. I'm really glad you're here today, joining me and being present and being a part of this community of women. Because today we're going to be talking about something that's really important, and sometimes it's not talked about that much, even though it's a very common, very prevalent experience. So this whole episode of Apothecary Wisdom I'm titling it, A Safe Place to Land After an Abortion. And today it's really important that we create a container of safety, right? A judgment-free zone, a non-biased zone, so that women can arrive and be present and be supportive to one another. Right? Because it's my intention for us to help women, because what happens, what I experience when I listen to women after an abortion is they don't know what to expect. They don't know what to expect with their emotions. They don't know what to expect with their hormones. They don't know what to do. So that's what this video is about. This video is to help give some tools and some perspectives and some herbs and meditations and some insights and understanding, so that women can move through the process of letting go, right? So this is definitely not a video about whether to decide if you should have an abortion. This is not a video about politics. This is not a video about morality. And this is absolutely not a video for anyone to ask me questions about herbs on how to induce an abortion. If you ask me that, I'm actually going to be kind of upset, because I'm really clearly saying this is not that. So don't do that, please. And this, as with all my videos, this is an educational video where I freely share myself, my insights, my input and wisdom and experience and space, and this video is for educational purposes, for supportive purposes, for community building purposes. And it's not a replacement for, midwifery care or medical advice. And ultimately, what you do with this information is your personal responsibility. And I trust you. That's why I'm giving it to you, right? If this is the first time that we're meeting, my name is Maria Chaudhry. I'm a midwife, and I'm an herbalist, and I'm the creator of Birthsong Botanicals. In Birthsong, we make nourishing herbal remedies. We make remedies for fertility and menstruation, and remedies for pregnancy and birth and postpartum and recovery, right? We make remedies for breastfeeding and for young children and for our immune health, and so that we can sleep well and we can cope with the stresses of daily life. So that's what Birthsong is all about. And you can learn more about us, me, our products, our videos on YouTube and on our blog. You can learn about all that stuff on birthsongbotanicals.com. So stay watching this video, but when you're done, go there and check it out. Okay, I'm gonna have a sip. I also want to remind you that this is a live video, and so I'm in front of the camera, and then Heaven's behind the camera. So I can't see the comments. I do encourage you to leave comments and insights, and at the same time, I'm restating, that's what a container of safety is. Those are not words, they're just not fluffy words, they're actually like parameters, that all the comments are going to be of a positive, supportive nature. And we're not going to respond to anything that's other than that, okay? So we're going to keep it like that. And I do want to encourage you to have some water, have a sip, and I want to get started. All my videos, before I get started, before I start writing, before I prepare and wrap my mind around what I'm going to say, I do a little search out into the Google. What are other people saying, thinking, feeling about this? What are they putting out into the world? But this time, I really only wanted to know essentially a couple of things, so how prevalent, how common are abortions, how common are abortions? Like, and so I did the Google search. And according to the World Health Organization, it's called WHO, they're kind of the go-to people. They're the most trusted people about global health, and especially global maternity health. So according to the World Health Organization, there are approximately 40 to 50 million abortions worldwide every year. Actually, that number is getting smaller, but 40 to 50 million abortions every year. And for me, that was kind of staggering, because here I'm a midwife, right? And certainly I've been exposed to abortion, but abortions are beyond my scope of practice. They're not part of my care, right? And the women that come to me, they're pregnant, right? So they're wanting to choose a home birth. And so really, the women, when they would process their abortions with me, it was mainly way after the fact. Now they're pregnant and they're having this baby, and so they like kind of processed it, but it's not so fresh because now they're in this new thing. And so we would talk about it, but it wasn't like this lingering thing that we went through over and over and over again. It was kind of like, oh yeah, I had an abortion. Oh yeah, I was 16, it was the right thing to do, and then they just move on, right? So for me to hear that, even though I was a midwife, it was kind of like, whoa, Maria, where have you been, right? And also what I wanted to express is like what those numbers say to me is just how common, how normal, how everyday it is. How every day women are making choices to choose the timing of their children, to make choices about their health care, and it is a normal part of maternity care and a normal part of health care. And so that's what those numbers say to me. At the same time, even though it's so normal and common and prevalent, women feel very stigmatized, very isolated, very alone, and they really don't know who to turn to, where to go, and they really don't feel solid. They feel solid in their decision, but they don't feel supported by their communities. And so that's why I wanted to make this video, right? And I wanted to make this video to be a safe place to land so that they can get something to help them move through it. I'm also making this video because somebody recently asked, they sent me an email, hey, do you have any herbs that would help me recover? And I was like, ooh. And so when you ask like really good questions like that, I might make a video for you. So yeah, so I'm making this video for you, girl. Hopefully you're watching. Anyways, I'm gonna kind of just go into this little different way of talking about something. I'm like, so here we are. This is a common mindset of women that they go through. It's like, okay, well, now I've had my experience, I've had my procedure, it's all over, I'm done with that, I can go back to normal, I can go back to work, I can just get over it, and I'm just gonna just pretend, and I'm gonna put my little smile on, and I'm gonna go back, right? And what happens is that's what the vast majority of women are trying to do, and yet they're discovering that there's never any going back to normal, and that the more they try to hide and push their emotions down or suppress them or put them under the rug and just say, well, I'll just get over it, that it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away, and it lingers and it festers and it stays and it shows up again and again, right? And so also, I want to take a big step back and say, I'm not making this video with the audacity of assuming that I know how you feel, that I know what your experience was like, that I know your story. I don't know those stories. I don't know your experience. And each one of us has our own unique way of expressing our feelings and our own unique way of coping and our own unique understanding and our own unique history, right? And so there's a place for your own unique story in this. And I'm just talking about from what I hear from other people and kind of picking out the thing I hear most often. Okay? Whew. Yay. The biggest thing that I hear most often is that the women that felt like they could talk to somebody, the women that felt like they had, that they could share their story, that they were supported, that they could make their own decision, like they chose, they knew their own heart, they knew their own mind. Those women, sure, they still feel some mixed feelings, but their overall final end of the day feeling was one of relief and one of knowing that they made a choice that fit for them in that time and with those resources, and in that chapter of their life they made the best decision they knew how to make in that moment, right? And they feel good about that. Versus the women that had to keep their pregnancy a secret. They had nowhere to turn to. They had no one to talk to. They made the decision, and that decision was not in alignment with their core values or with their spirituality, right? They felt like their partners weren't there, their parents weren't there, the community wasn't there, and they felt like they were kind of forced into a decision. Those women, and also those women that for whatever reason had a medical condition, like their maternal health or the fetal health was unstable and they had to choose to terminate, and even though they wanted that pregnancy, they had to choose it. So those women that were unsupported, that couldn't talk, that kept it a secret and had to choose it, that was not in alignment with their core values, those women experienced immense feelings of a grief and a void and a part of them that is really hard for them to recover from, right? So those are vast different groups of people. Another thing I want to say, back to the 40 to 50 million women that have abortions, the age range is from 15 years old to 44 years old. So some of these are young teens, right? It's the first time they had sex. This is their first big decision they've ever made in their life, and they have not really been prepared, right? They don't really know how to make these big decisions yet. And then these other women, some of these other women, they're in their 40s. Sure, they could survive a third baby, but they're wanting to thrive. They know how to make decisions. And so I'm just trying to put that in perspective of, like, there's not just one type of woman. There's not one socioeconomic. There's not one place in the world where women are doing this. This is global and ubiquitous. Okay? And also the other thing that really stood out to me in terms of what women question, what they would bring up when I would ask a lot of women, and also when I remember, is what they would say. The woman that felt good about her decision and the woman that felt like something was done to her and she felt, I'm going to say traumatized, feels traumatized by her decision. They both still also felt like, wow, this process is a really long, ongoing process. I thought I'd be over it by now. And they also all tend to say something about, like, they weren't really prepared for the hormonal effects, and that even though everything they chose, it was in alignment, but still they were still really hormonally shocked and taken off their center, right? Okay, so I've actually really kind of going through this really quickly. I want to just say that another thing I want to say about how women feel, and I'm kind of talking, I'm going to merge both these women that felt really positive and then the women that didn't. But it's not so much how a woman recovers, it's not so much about what she thinks, it's not so much about what she feels, it's not even so much about her personality, but another big contribution to how she overall recovers and moves through her process is her access to resources. And That's a huge thing. And it's also just like how she's treated, how she's made to feel by her care providers and by her parents and by her doctors and by her partners and by her loved ones. Over and over you hear from women saying the pain of the abortion was not so much from the procedure, which that is painful, and it's not so much from the loss of the baby, which that is painful, but the biggest pain was from the stigma that they were not supported by those that loved them, and they felt like they had a hole from inside them and a hole from outside them, right? So that is pretty much a golden thread that goes through all these women's stories that I hear. Okay? The other thing that contributes to these emotions is, sure, anytime someone loses a baby, no matter how it happens, they have a miscarriage, they have an abortion, they have an adoption, they have a stillbirth, their child dies. So, however it happens, it is a grief, and it is a hole, and it is a pain. Whether or not you chose it and it was the right thing for you at the time, there is this grief. But then there are also, back to abortion, there are other feelings and other things that are contributing to the pain that she's feeling, or the process that she's trying to navigate and she's needing to like find her way through. Is also, she has this person that's choosing an abortion, has a lot of stress hormones in her body as she's making the decision, right? She also has a lot of chemicals in her body that, depending on the type of abortion that she had, but if she's having a DNC, she's having anesthesia, right, to help her like cope with it. And so these chemicals in her body are going to influence her emotions. And then on top of that, you have pregnancy hormones. And so pregnancy hormones, they peak at 9 to 13 weeks gestation, right? And so a lot of these women are getting these abortions like at this, like before 10 weeks or in this time, right? So they are having abortion at the peak time of the hormones for pregnancy. And so then in one way, a lot of the hormones go away as soon as the pregnancy's over. But there is this residual hormones that need to balance out to bring you back to your non-pregnant state, that the most intense feelings, the most like overwhelmed, the most like stressed and anxious feelings are usually in the first week, the 4 to 6 days in the first week. And then these hormones start to level out a little bit more, but they still are really tumultuous until like 3 to 4 weeks later. So it's physiologically normal for you to feel anxious and overwhelmed and stressed out just from the pregnancy hormones. It's normal for you to feel stressed out and anxious and overwhelmed and sad because you have to make a major decision, and you have hormones that are cortisol and adrenaline, and they're making you fight or flight or freeze or flee, or making you want to be anywhere other than you are. You want to be out of your situation. That's your hormones. And then also, if you had a DNC, you also had a bunch of chemicals that are making you feel out of sorts. So that's kind of a little bit of an explanation, that those in combination with the grief of the loss of a baby, in combination with the relief that you're not pregnant anymore. And you combine all of that, and that's a hard thing to hold, right? So that's part of the terrain. That's the shifting landscape that you're in. But that's really part of the process. It's not like something you do to just change it, right? That you just have to realize, oh, I'm in this. I need to navigate. I need a tool to navigate through this. Oh, and eventually, if I effectively can wisely and authentically and honestly and go into my vulnerability and into that place and do the work, then after a few weeks, some of these outlying experiences will level out. These hormones will level out. And then I'm faced with myself, right? But then it starts to get a little bit easier. But give yourself the full month knowing that's the landscape. And it's not unique to you because you're doing it wrong or you had something, right? That's what women go through. Okay, I just really wanted to let you have that. Okay. And so there's that whole piece, but then there's also just the stages of grief. I just want to let you know, like, you're a woman that's completely supported or a woman that's completely alone and abandoned. They're all going to go through the stages of grief, right? And those are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And there's no right or wrong way to grieve. It's a personal experience. In one way, you don't need a time frame pinned down on you for you to hurry up and get back to work and shove it under the rug. And at the same time, I'm going to get to this, you don't want to linger in this place. And since I don't want you to linger in this place, because, I've not had an abortion, but I've had miscarriages, and I know the stages of grief, and well, let's help everybody that we can help to get through this because we need it. Another thing I want to say about this video, I'm about to kind of go into some tips, I guess, that might support you. Not all of this is going to resonate with you, right? Not all of this is going to be the most helpful thing for you. Some of it is. So take what works for you and leave the rest. But what works for you, please share it. Share it with your friends, your sisters, your aunties, your mothers, your daughters, your cousins, the other women in your community. It takes all of us understanding the stages of grief, understanding how normal abortion is, but how immense this situation is, for us to create a network of support so that a person can root down, so that a person can recover and discover themselves and move through fully. Okay? So please share, if this is good, please share it with the other women in your community. Chip. Bueno. Okay, so here are just some simple things, and then we'll go into some deeper stuff. Right off the bat, the simple thing is getting some rest, right? Right after your procedure, or right after your abortion, rest. Remember, we're talking about women that are 15 years old to 44. Sure, there's outliers, but 15 to 44. So, if you're a teenager, right? Yeah, you're not used to resting. You've got tons of energy. You're used to going. You're super popular and social, and you got stuff to do. But I'm asking you to slow down, right? Don't go to school for a couple days, right? Don't go to work for a couple days. Don't go to that show this weekend. Don't go out. Hang out. Be home. Right? And for the mom that already has kids at the house and is juggling a job and a career and parenting and all your responsibilities, right? You got 100 things on your plate and now this on top. Right? So getting you off your feet, getting the support you need, especially for the mom of with the household and the food and the cooking and the childcare and calling into work and all that stuff. Even that, thinking about that sounds like work to figure out how to get that work, but really ideally that rest that you need, especially that first week of your 4 to 6 days when you're in the peak of your most overwhelmed, anxious feelings, right? So there's that. And then nourishment. If you've ever heard any of my videos, I'm always going to have the foundation of nourishment. Right? Nourishment from pure water. Nourishment from your food. And it's the time for comfort also. So it's time for comfort foods. And what I mean by that, coconut and chocolate and chickpeas and I'm going to say sweet potatoes and chips. And right now, my comfort food would be banana chips. Some banana chips. comforting food that is nourishing. But I really would say, hey, a lot of smoking because you're stressed out and anxious, right? A lot of alcohol drinking because you're stressed out and anxious and you have all these feelings, you don't know what to do and you know where to go and you're all alone and you got something you need to cope. Those things, they appear helpful because they numb you, but they're really just perpetuating and hurting you, and they're creating a lot of inflammation. And so not only are you healing your emotions and your spirit and your mind, but you're healing your physical body, right? And so your physical body heals a lot quicker than your emotional body does. At the same time, your food becomes your medicine. Okay? All right. And so then other ways, other supportive measures back in the nourishment are herbs. I mean, let these herbs support you. That's what they're here for. They grow all around us. They're growing all around us to be like, hey, I'm here. And we don't recognize it, but like, hey, I'm right here. I can help you. I'm right here. See, look, I'm blooming. I'm here. I'm for you. Be with me. Let me. Drink me. Bathe in me. Right? And so some of the primary sensations, physical sensations that women are experiencing after an abortion are cramping, pain, and bleeding, right? So for cramping and for pain, there is a beautiful herb called cramp bark. And I've made videos about it on the YouTube channel. And there's a whole written description about it on the blog. But cramp bark helps hold uterine tone, but at the same time, it's not so bitter and so harsh, right? You need to cramp. It's essential that you cramp because when you cramp, you don't bleed too much. But the cramps are hurting you, and you're hurting in so many ways. So cramp bark is going to help keep the tone without the harsh bitterness of it. And then there's yarrow. Yarrow is one of my favorite teaching herbs. Right now, yarrow is blooming in my garden. I walk by and I'm like yarrow. Like, oh, you're going to talk about me today on Facebook Live? Great. Let me bloom for you. But no, yarrow is a herb that is a wonderful herb because it's astringent. That means it dries up things. That means it helps stop bleeding, so you're not a free bleeder. But then it also is very potent protector. It's like it helps prevent infection, right? So you want to be preventing infection and you want to stop bleeding, right? So yarrow. And then there's red raspberry leaf. Red raspberry leaf is an herb that you should know about. If you don't know about it, Google it, read about it on our website, drink it. Drink it every day, as many cups as you can throughout your life, from being a young woman to an old elder. Red raspberry leaf is so full of vitamins and minerals, and it's going to help tone your uterus, it's going to help circulate your blood, and it's going to help keep your vitamins and minerals up because you're bleeding. Any amount of blood that you have with an abortion is more bleeding than you had with your period. And so you were pregnant and you did not go through this process called blood volume expansion. So you didn't make extra blood to give away, yet you're bleeding heavier than you're used to. So you're going to feel depleted, right? Red raspberry leaf is going to help you not feel so depleted. So will chlorophyll, but I'm going to get back to chlorophyll. There's another herb that's really beautiful, that's especially right now if you're feeling like those like emotions where you're about to lose your shit, right? You have no tolerance for anybody else's baggage or no tolerance for anything else. One more thing on you is about to break your back, right? And you're just like, holy, I need help, right? That's motherwort. Motherwort is the herb that just helps you cope. Just helps you cope, even though she knows you're not going to stop because you're going to. So she knows life keeps going, but you need help right now. And so motherwort. And so those herbs that I mentioned, those herbs are in cycle relief. Cycle relief is a tincture that you take under your tongue. You have a little bit of water in your mouth under your tongue, and then you put the tincture there, and then you swallow it. Or you put a little bit of the tincture into a cup of water and you drink it. And cycle relief is going to help with your cramping and with your bleeding and with your mood, your emotions. It's made for you right now. This is made with every intention. It's for your situation, right? The other thing would be Women's Balance. Women's Balance is a tea that's blended with nourishing herbs, just like I mentioned with the red raspberry leaf. And there's another beautiful herb called nettle that's going to be really filled with vitamins and minerals. And I'm going to tell you about the other herbs in this blend. But there's a thing about drinking the tea that's important. It makes you slow down. It makes you appreciate the little things. It makes you take care of yourself. And it nourishes you. So it's not just like taking something, like I'm going to take a pill. It's what I end every one of my videos with the statement of saying, drink deep, right? I'm not talking about alcohol and wine. I'm talking about nourishment. Go slow. Take the big, long drink so it saturates down into you, right? That's what Women's Balance is for. What other herbs? You know, there's another couple herbs I want to tell you about right now. One is lemon balm. Lemon balm is known as the healing, as the joyful herb. It's very uplifting and lighthearted. And even though it's uplifting and lighthearted, it helps relax and soothe you. Helps relax and soothe your nerves and your emotions. It softens your body. It helps with the cramps and physical pain and emotional pain. Another herb that I don't have in any of these blends, so you're going to have to get it somewhere else. And I think when I make a new blend, I might call it Joy. And anyways, I'll put it in there, is St. John's wort. And St. John's wort is classic herb that is well studied for depression or for anxiety and for mental anguish and pain and that sort of like trapped feeling. And so St. John's wort is also great for physical pain too. So you could get that if you need that. And you know what I mentioned earlier about women's hormones are fluctuating, and that's why they're feeling so intensely and they're feeling so strong. So another herb that's in Women's Balance is called ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen. Adaptogens are wonderful at regulating your mood because they're helpful with harmonizing and balancing your hormones, right? And helping you cope with hormones that are irregular, right? And that are coming down into a new state of normal for you. Another thing I want to say about those hormones, the fluctuation, and then you're feeling so out of sorts. Sometimes I don't want to say misinterpret, but sometimes we think, oh, I'm depressed. And you might be, but it might also simply be that the hormones are at such a high level and you're not used to that. And so you might, once the hormones do level out and you become back to your non-pregnant state, you might not feel as depressed anymore. Ashwagandha helps that harmonizing and that normalizing state of your hormones, and that's in Women's Balance. So I wanted to give you that. What else do I want to tell you about herbs? Oh, I want to tell you about herbs. If you're feeling stressed and anxious with a lot of anxiety, I have another remedy, and it's called Solid and Serene. And Solid and Serene is with herbs that help you relax. So if you're up at night and you're not sleeping because you're up at night and you're tossing and turning and you're in your head, right? Or you're just really like about to just bite somebody's head off because you're in just that edgy, kind of agitated, kind of ooh, right? That feeling, Solid and Serene. Or if you're feeling really afraid, frantic, panicked, afraid, or you have a lot of pain, right? Solid and Serene. However, Solid and Serene is not for you if you're feeling depressed, like you can't get up off the couch, you're stuck down in depression. Solid and Serene is not for you because it helps you go to relaxed place. We don't want to add relaxation on top of depression, then you're just more pinned down, right? But if you need to get up and you need to wake up and you need to like improve your iron levels because you bled so much, then chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is going to help oxygenate your blood, help oxygenate your mind. It's very uplifting. Chlorophyll, think of chlorophyll like a plant. Well, it's the green part of a plant. But you know, I have this plant, it's a peace lily, and she'll tell me when she's thirsty because she's going to like go like this, right? And then you water her, and then you water her, and then she like, ding, right? That's what chlorophyll does to you. You're like, oh, I'm depleted, I'm tired, I'm depressed, I'm overwhelmed, I don't have enough of whatever it is that I need, I got a lot of needs, and I don't have enough, and I need, and then you have some chlorophyll, and you're like, right? So, chlorophyll. Also, I'm going to just kind of jump ahead with chlorophyll, is like, you are at home now, right? This whole process is over, but it's still a good idea to go and get your checkup and your follow-up, to get blood work, and to really make sure your iron levels are appropriate, because if you are anemic, and that's a common side effect of bleeding too much, is that chlorophyll will help you with your anemia. Okay, the other aspects of herbs that I want to talk to you about are herb baths and steams. So you can, I'm not talking about a Calgon take me away bubble bath from the Walmart 99-cent herb bath, or just fake lavender bath salt. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a therapeutic medicinal bath. You just had a therapeutic abortion. You just had an immense experience. You were pregnant and now you're not, and you're bleeding, and we don't want you to have an infection, right? This is medicine. And it's healing to your mind, body, spirit, soul. That's the beauty of herbs. It's like not just medicine for one thing. It's medicine for all your layers, right? Okay, so postpartum herb bath. It's blended with some of the herbs I already talked about. Yarrow to prevent the infection, and shepherd's purse to help stop with bleeding. These herbs are put together on purpose to help you recover, to help you, like I said, slow down your bleeding and recover, and help you recover from just the energetic thing. And baths are really cleansing in that way. And so one thing you can do after you take the herb bath and you're done and you're about to get out, just linger in the bathtub a little bit and pull the plug and physically feel the water draining out of the bathtub, and you can feel it like leaving your skin. And you'll feel the temperature difference. Feel the water go out and away from you down the drain. As you're releasing and crying and letting go, and letting go of these hormones and these chemicals and these thoughts and these processes, it's just another tactile way to feel something going and letting go. That's just a little tip. And then there's also yoni steams. I made a whole video about yoni steams, and I made several about herb baths. They're in the playlist on the YouTube channel and on the blog. But yoni steams are a great way if you don't have a bathtub, or you don't have that much time and you don't have tons of herbs, you just have a few little herbs. It's a great way for you to sit still, kind of go into a meditative place, and let this steam and this vapor enter into your body, into your temple, into your cathedral, into your womb, into you. It's a very beautiful practice, and so I'm going to leave you with that and encourage you to look that up. And you can yoni steam with these herbs, or if you're going to do it yourself, you can have rosemary. She helps you remember. And remember meaning put lost parts of yourself back together. And she's antiseptic. All these are going to be antiseptic. Lavender, garlic, thyme, sage, rue, oregano, calendula, yarrow. Those are all good herbs to do your steam with. rose petals, right? Okay, what else, what else, what else? Another just little physical thing is you have a lot of cramps and you have a lot of headaches because of the hormone changes and the stress, and you're not sleeping and all this stuff, and the cramps because of the procedure, and you're going back to a non-pregnant state. So hot compresses are really good, and cold hot packs, cold compresses on your forehead and on the top of your head are really good. They can kind of help take away the pain. And like I said before, it's important. It's up to you to monitor. It's up to you. Really, you should know how to take your pulse. You should know how to take your temperature. You should know how to give yourself an abdominal massage and feel for tenderness and pain. You should know, like, okay, if I feel 2 pads in a half an hour, that's too much bleeding, and you need to know how to monitor blood loss, right? So those are all parts of you taking good care of yourself. And so that's your responsibility. And following up with your care provider to make sure that your iron levels and your hormone levels are right. Okay? Okay, so let's talk about the next little thing. The next thing is like another part of your physical care is abstaining from sex, right? Because you're bleeding and you don't want an infection. And you're bleeding and you don't want an infection, so don't have sex. And besides, you might not want to have sex because you got this whole issue with your partner that I'm about to spill into. But before I spill into this, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but I think I will. I'm going to go back a little bit back to monitoring and taking care of yourself and your responsibility, and you're in this. This is your life, right? I wasn't planning about this, so this part's not going to be very polished. But like if you are at home and you took the misoprostol, and then you're having your labor at home, and then you are, and then, you know, all the stuff passes through your body, it is a good idea. It's actually kind of an essential thing to do, even though a lot of women don't want to do it, to look and see what comes out. It gives you closure. If you just flush it down the drain, when I sit here and talk with women, that haunts them that they didn't look. Right? If you don't want to look in the moment, and if there's somebody there with you, let them take a picture. Even tell them, like, I don't want to look, take a picture. And just let them take a picture for you to just see what was in there and what came out. And then it also starts to become part of like a medical necessity. If at any point in time you feel like you're bleeding too much and you need to get the next level of care, that you kind of need to know like how much blood came out, what else came out, what it is, so you can effectively communicate. So you want to have that information. And so I encourage you to look, even if you don't want to, because you will never get that moment back. It is there in the moment, and it's a fleeting moment, right? But that moment lingers with you for a long time. The part that's fleeting is your choice of what you do. The consequence lasts. Okay. I mean, now I'm going to go back to where I was, and I'm going to talk about like sex and partners. And it's really hard to talk about sex and partners because, I mean, we just talked about 40 to 50 million women ranging from age 15 to age 44. So every person's experience with their partner is so unique, right? But at the same time, like I'm just going to do some stereotypes or some like big things. One of the reasons that particularly young women and teen women, or just any women, are even in the situation that they're considering that I'm going to have an abortion is because they're with a partner that, like, was a shit partner. Like, it's not there for them, right? And so that's why they're even in the situation, right? So there's that. But then there are some women that are in beautiful, loving, supportive relationships. So this is I'm just going to break it down into two. So there might be some of you that are in supportive, loving relationships and partnerships, and your partner, you're processing and you're making your decision, and now you're in the recovery process, but your partner was with you the whole time, said something to you like, hey, I love you. I'm with you. It's you and me. We're together. If you really feel like this is the right thing for you, for me, for us, for this baby, for our baby at this time, I trust you. And we're going to go. We got this. I'll go with you. I'm with you. Right? There's that partner. But then there's some of you that heard something like this. Well, so what are you going to do about it? Oh, how are you going to fix it? Oh, well, here's some money. Go take care of that. How do I know that's even my kid? Right? And so there's like this shocking of like, and so then there's this either young girl or this mature woman or whoever. Anytime somebody that you are with in your life talks to you or feels that way towards you or rejects that way towards you, it's another layer of, so how your partner responds to you either is supportive and it's another buffer and it's another supportive system and it's a soft place for you to land, or how your partner responds to you is another layer of loss and grief and disrespect and neglect and pain and hurt, and it becomes burdensome, right? So women are managing all this, right? No wonder they feel alone. I do want to take a step back and say about your partner is that I don't want to condone their behavior, especially if he's being a jerk. I don't want to condone their behavior in any way, but I do want to bring to light some of these guys might be kids. They're not prepared for this. They don't know how to make this decision. They've never been faced with anything like this before. They're not emotionally mature enough to handle it. Even if they're adults, right? They don't have the capacity or the skills to communicate the way we do, or the way women do, just with their, they don't understand the power of their presence. Even if they don't know what to say, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say, so I'm going to be an asshole or a jerk. I've cursed a lot in this video. They don't understand if they just stayed. If they were to just stay, if they were to just sit down and like stay, that would mean so much more. They don't know the power of their presence, just staying. So they don't know that, and so they run away and they hide and they don't have the skills. And also, they didn't carry the baby inside them. So they don't have that physical, spiritual, soul connection like women do. It's a concept. It's a mental concept, and it's a thing that they don't know how to or want to deal with. So you got to give them, I mean, you don't have to give them slack, but I'm just saying, giving a different perspective. Yeah. So if you're in a supportive situation, then it's essential, and even if you're not a supportive situation, it's essential to just effectively communicate and say what you need and say what you feel and get it out there. But if you're in a supportive situation, you kind of want to nurture that a little bit more and take your time and really allow him to go through this process fully. Because another thing I want to say about him is like, yeah, not only does he want this situation to hurry up and go away and disappear and for you to move on, because of the baby thing and like, oh my gosh, now what am I going to do? But also because it hurts him to see you hurting so much, right? So there's that. But I will say that a lot of partnerships at this point start to have like tumultuous disharmony in their communication, especially in their sensuality and lovemaking and sexuality, even if it's a partnership, but then in a healthy one. But then if it wasn't a healthy one, the vast majority of them, they split ways, right? All parties go other directions. So there's that piece of it. And like if anybody, if your partner's talking to you like that, or anybody, just know I'm supporting you and loving you, and I have a video. I made a meditation to help you with that. Okay, let me kind of get to where I need to be now. Okay, well, here we go. This is pretty much where I'm at. So there are a few more things that can help you process and recover and go through this place now, from this like anxiety feeling and grief feeling mixed with relief and oh thank God, right? All this good, like this tumultuous mixture. It's always so interesting. I have a lot of conversations. I'm always so surprised by how many opposing feelings we can have in the same moment, right? Even on just like a normal day, especially on an immense day and an immense experience like in the enormity of what you're going through right now. And I've pretty much already alluded to a lot of this, but sharing your experience, even like anonymously, there are lots of, on Instagram, there's all these groups, right? And all these women anonymously share, and what they say is profound. So you want to find these groups and share with them anonymously, but also just one-to-one, face-to-face with a trusted person. And I know that so many people feel so isolated, but there might be partially some of it is just we're isolating ourselves because of whatever we're going through, when actually if we just kind of can see it from a little different way, there might be some support. Like maybe having the herbs help you, it gives you just enough strength to like get the courage to talk to somebody, right? Talk to a midwife, talk to a doula, talk to a doctor, a counselor, a pastor, a shaman, talk to a priest, talk to a girlfriend, talk to a stranger, right? Write, journal, right? Processing this is super important. So sharing. And because I've already said this, but I'm reiterating, the biggest challenge that people feel is the social stigma and the isolation that they feel completely alone and nobody understands them. And the other part is they might share with somebody, okay, I'm sharing with you, okay, yay. And then the other person's trying to be helpful, but they're also not like a counselor, so they don't have the like communication skills. So they're going to try to help you and like tell you what you should do and tell you what you need to do. And they're going to put all their baggage right on you. And that's not helpful at all. That's just more burden that you have to sift through, right? So I understand that. The other thing is a continuation of these same topics, is creating space. Like we started right here as creating a container of safety, right? So it can also be, creating space can also be I want to use this word loosely, but a time frame. And what I mean by that is that you allow yourself enough time, several weeks and months, to process and feel and share and do and to go there and do the work, and without having this, well, it's been 2 months, be over it. At the same time, just can't have it be lasting forever. If you're in this perpetual cocoon of depression and sadness and not really able to cope and you're spiraling out of control, it's really damaging to yourself, to your psyche, to your emotions, to your physical life, and to those around you. And so there is this fine line, and only you can find it, but there is this like container of time and safety that you allow yourself enough time, but don't overdo it and stay stuck in it, right? There will be a moment where you're like, oh, I've come out through the other side. Oh, I feel different. Yeah. Because you like I said before, you're forever changed. There's only one, there's no going back, is what I'm trying to say. There's no going back. There's only going forward and moving through into becoming your new self, right? And part of that container of safety is what you do inside it. Right? You share, you journal, but you also create, you drink your teas and take your baths and have your steams. Those are all ceremonies. So you have ceremonies, right? You have ceremonies where you name your baby, where you have ceremonies where you honor your feelings, right? Where you light candles and you send them down the river, where you light lanterns and you let them float away, or balloons where they float away, or you make these beautiful fires where they're burden and burden bundles and blessings, where you write what you're gonna release into the fire, and you burn it into the fire. Right? Whatever feels right and appropriate and natural to you. Either doing these alone or with companionship. Right? So having ceremony is a really beautiful way for closure, but it's also a way for you to just really process and give meaning to, because what happens a lot of times, people think, oh, that was nothing. I'm making a big deal out of nothing. Like, I should be, it's like we diminutize what it is, and then we feel like we're making a big deal, where when you have a ceremony, it honors what it is. So I encourage you to do that. And then also within that container of safety, there is blessings. How you bless your body, and how you do the work to reclaim your power, right? So I made 2 audio guided meditations. They're very different. They're both for general people, so it could be for any person at any age, at any stage in their life. At the same time, they're very appropriate for you at this point of time in your life. The first one is the body blessing, and I'm really just telling you this one first because I made it first. The body blessing is a very gentle meditation where you gently cleanse your body and lay your hands on your body and bless your female body. It's very wholesome and nurturing and light, and feels like, if it had a color, it would be like pink or something, right? Golden and pink. The other one is a little bit more like work. And what I mean by that is it's a power cord meditation to help you release the energies, all the things that are attached to you, so that you can free up your energy, so you don't feel so blocked and so trapped and pinned down by it. I kind of wanted to tell you about it just a little bit. Power cords in life, every experience is an energetic experience. Some of them are big deals and some of them are not. The vast majority of them are just daily life. It's kind of benign. Yeah, you need to kind of dust off a little bit, take your bath, do a little sage smoke, a little say a prayer, a little deep breath cleanse, right? And you kind of clean things off. And then other ones are key life events that have traumatized you. So not everybody feels this way after an abortion. This may not be what you need, right? You might be fine. But if at some point in this experience or in your life, it doesn't even have to be for the abortion, it could be for anything that feels like you had to fight for protect yourself, where you were something's coming at you, right? You almost felt like you had to flee, like you left your body a little bit, or you had such a situation that you're kind of forgetting about it. I want to say something real quick. Healing and recovery is not forgetting about it. It's not remembering it, right? It's integrating it. It's accepting it. It's understanding it and learning it. That's what healing is. It's not taking it away and pretending like it's never there and you forgot about it. It's bringing it fully in, embracing it and owning it, and it becomes you, right? And then all these other parts of you, it doesn't overtake you. It doesn't become overtaking anymore. It's just part of it. So this meditation helps you go into your own self and release all these attachments that you've been holding on to. But in your mind, we say, I want to let it go, I want to let it go, I want to let it go, I want to let it go. But then we didn't know how to release it. And so I'm going to kind of just give you that much. You release it, and then you gather, you find your power, and you pull it back into you. I don't want to spoil it too much. I want it to be fresh and new and exciting for you. The link will be down below. But this type of work, this is like, in order to be whole and healthy and happy and solid and serene and balanced and make wise decisions and say yes to what you're going to say yes to and know what you're going to say no to and like have effective communication with yourself and with other people, then you have to do the work. And this meditation helps you do the work of that. Okay? So, yeah. And then the last little piece is just being in your body. Being in your body with your breath, with your movement, with your stretching, taking walks, dancing, sweating, practicing Tai Chi, practicing Qigong. Those are all ways to embody the movement. Most of these movements are very gentle. They're not demanding. And particularly Qigong will help you ground down and root into yourself, root into the earth, root into something bigger than you. And then it helps you express your fullest potential so that you feel uplifted and expanded, and where your energy is flowing freely, and that you're clear and you're relaxed and you're calm and you're a whole person. And so I encourage you to do those things. And it's my sincere hope that this video offered you something to help support you on your journey and your path to recovery, on your path to wholeness. And I just really want to say, like, you are a whole, perfect, beautiful person. You're not broken, right? You didn't fail. You are complete and beautiful. And there are so many women that are out there that know that to be true. And I know that to be true. And I want you to know that to be true. That's why I made this video, for you to know that that's true. And so I'm going to start to kind of wrap things up. I want to do a few things. I do extend an invitation if you would like to learn about Qigong. I teach every week on Zoom. So you can be anywhere in the world. It's at 10 o'clock a.m., 10 a.m. Central Time. The link is down below. And it doesn't have to be because you just had an abortion. It's for any time. The women in there are like vast different ages and totally different things. And so I make my Qigong class totally accessible for all levels. And it is a very beautiful, I will say it's a sacred, beautiful movement that I feel so good about. And I'm inviting you and invite you to join with me. Also, seriously, it really does me a solid when you like push like and subscribe and share on these videos, right? And if you do that, then more people can see it and more people can benefit from it, and then I really appreciate that. So if you're watching this anywhere other than our YouTube channel or on our website, go there and check out all the stuff, because if you like this one, I got a lot more for you. Okay, so I'm wrapping my arms around you and loving you, and until next time, my friends, drink deep and always walk in beauty.